So I recently visited Morocco, partly for the AFCON and also for personal errands. And for a country with less GDP and even less mineral resources than Nigeria, Morocco really did well, at least from a visitor's perspective, with its planning. So to make this as relatable as possible, let's start with primary school social studies. I remember my class teacher then would say, you need at least places to live, how to make a living, how to get here and there, and the things that support daily living ought to be present for you to have human settlement. Then another thing he would also say is that all these four items need one another to function properly, as you can't have one without the other. That what he was describing was the interdependence and interrelationship of physical, social, and economic infrastructure. This interdependence and relationship is what Morocco has unlocked for its people with planning. So the first thing you would notice in Morocco is that the public transportation system and facilities work. Keyword being systems and facilities. You remember I've said it over and over that transportation is the bedrock and cornerstone on which any meaningful planning and housing intervention would thrive. And what Morocco has done is use transportation to spearhead development, to spearhead planning, to spearhead economic mobility and access to opportunities. And what the country or the cities have done by interweaving transportation into this planning fabric, because whether you are commuting within the city or across several cities, every mode of transportation that you need, from taxis, cabs, trams, train, high-speed train, is all available, provided, managed, and sponsored by government. So on one side is the flexibility of means of transportation, and on the other side is the ability of the government to control the prices for affordability. But this conversation is not even about transportation, but rather about the most interesting thing that is happening behind this flexibility in means and modes of transportation is the sporadic and massive growth of organic development. So what is organic development? Again, let's start from what we know. Most of us are familiar with ready-made housing, either by developer or government. The layout is planned, buildings are built, commissioned, and then buyers or owners take them up. And whenever we talk about housing, this picture-perfect, moving-ready housing is what often comes to mind. Now, organic development, on the other hand, means that after you've planned how that place will look in the future, instead of building it for them, you allow them to build it themselves as it fits their budget and income. So the time all they can afford is a room, they build it. When they have enough to add an extra floor, they also do. It's basically government giving the people a foothold to help themselves solve their housing problems as it fits their income. All within different levels of government or planning, monitoring, control, or support. And that is what makes this different from slums or informal settlements, the element of government control. Because slum, on the other hand, happens spontaneously without government control or participation. What the country has achieved is use site and services to make housing easy and more affordable for its people. This in particular is how it stands in sharp contrast to Lagos, where everyone is in a race for a full or half plot or even more. And this is how simple it is. What they've done is make access to smaller pieces of land affordable and available to their people. So the proposed location is planned into layouts, and these layouts come with infrastructure from roads to drainage to electricity are already pre-installed. Then the land is subdivided into little fractions as low as 50, 60 square meters that their residents can easily develop with time. So based on income level or even zoning or development pattern, the people can then access land and build as it fits their income without having to worry about facilities or amenities. And the government does not have to worry so much about revenue because it has been pre-planned and everybody can be charged as they connect to these services at whatever stage of their completion. This flexibility is exactly what Petit House Plot Share helps users and owners achieve, most especially the flexibility of building their homes as it fits their income and convenience. So that is organic development and one of the many ways that it can be expressed. And the main thing that this organic development achieves, which is what I want you to pay attention to, is that because of the access to home ownership, the flexibility that comes with it, and the access to transportation, the reliability and dependability of the public intracity and intercity transportation systems, the people therefore no longer have to struggle or hustle endlessly to live in the popular cities of Rabat or Casablanca, and they can live in these other cities, other towns that fits their income, that fits their realities. Because transportation is now reliable, dependable, predictable, and affordable. Housing also becomes accessible, affordable, and predictable. And this is how it connects back to our illustration. You see, housing falls under physical infrastructure, but it is also heavily influenced by both social and economic infrastructure. And the only singular denominator that connects all of these elements together is planning. So you see why the point of planning is not to create picture perfect, Instagram ready cities. Yes, our cities must look beautiful, but the main goal behind planning is to help people, irrespective of their income or social class, to live, work, interact, and connect in dignity. Of course, I'm always careful to draw parallels between Nigeria and other countries. But luckily, this is also another country whose background and history is almost equal or similar in some ways. In fact, I'm particularly glad that Nigeria has more economic capacity, more economic advantages, more economic potentials. So, if we need better housing, let's make our planning first about people and dignity before revenue. Let's make our economic policies, our infrastructure planning more about systems that are functional, reliable, and dependable than about just meeting political campaign promises. To solve the Nigerian housing crisis, we must empower the people to live, work, and access opportunities in dignity. I hope this helps.